Hare Krishna, Jana Chakshi Prabhu, Jaya, glories to Great Deva, glories to Sri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I never pronounce, bro.
Hare Krishna, thank you for being here.
Very well.
So, I hope you're ready. We'll put the rest on the screen.
Yes, please do.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
It's 1817.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
It's a very short paper.
Yes.
But you know it's fully loaded. So dear devotees, today we have His Grace Jana Chakshi Prabhu, who will be taking us into the sweet nectar of the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM discourse. So, Prabhuji, we are ready.
Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we are reading from the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, Canto 1, Chapter 18, verse number 17. So I'll read the Sanskrit alone and then the translation as well. Tana param punyam asamvritatam akyanam atyabuta yoganistam akyahi ananta charito papanam parishitam PRABHU. Translation. Thus, please narrate to us the narrations of the unlimited, for they are purifying and supreme. They were spoken to Maharaj Parikshit, and they are very dear to the pure devotees, being full of bhakti. I will repeat the translation. Thus, please narrate to us the narrations of the unlimited, for they are purifying and supreme. They were spoken to Maharaj Parikshit, and they are very dear to the pure devotees, being full of bhakti yoga. Sri Prabhupada's purport, very short purport. So what was spoken to Maharaj Parikshit and what is very dear to the pure devotees is SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM is mainly full of the narrations of the activities of the Supreme Unlimited, and therefore it is the science of Bhakti Yoga, or the devotional service of the Lord. Thus it is para, or supreme, because although it is enriched with all knowledge and religion, it is specifically enriched with the devotional service of the Lord. Oma Jana Timirandasia, Jana Jana Salakaya, Takshu Omlitam Yena, Tasmai, Shri Gurave Namaha. Nabam Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Botare, Shri Mate, Kavichandra Swami Tinamini. Nabam Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Botare, Shri Mate, Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gorabani Precharini, Nerebesi Sesunya Badi, Pasatya Disatarini. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shri Vasari, Gora Bhakta Brenda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thus, please narrate to us the narrations of the unlimited, for they are purifying and supreme. They were spoken to Maharaj Parikshit, and they are very dear to the pure devotees, being full of bhakti yoga. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to all of you. I'm very sorry that I was late. Actually, I just came from the airport. Our flight delayed. I went to Turkey. So right from the airport, I have to rush here and just take a shower. So when it was exactly 3, I had to wear something. So forgive me for not coming on time. And also I'm having a little bit of cold, so please forgive me how I sound. So the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, it is a very, very important, but most importantly, when it speaks about the purifying nature of the Supreme Lord. Today, I would like to speak something about how important it is for us to appreciate where we're coming from, how to appreciate where we are, and then that will help us to forge or plan ahead in life. I consider myself to be very insignificant and to even speak on this very text because I'm seeing all the great names in devotional service. I'm seeing people who are considered to be my spiritual masters, PRABHU. I'm seeing HARE KRISHNA PRABHU. I'm seeing Sahadev PRABHU and all the other senior devotees here. PRABHU, actually, when I was in Lagos, is the first person that helped us to really understand Krishna consciousness during our Bhakti Resha programs at Apapa. So I always consider him to be like, a sexual guru to me. And Sahadev PRABHU, I follow him so much during your radio programs on Radio Go. So I remember that time I was out there. Anytime around that time, Radio Go time, I have to listen to it. Radio Go. And HARE KRISHNA PRABHU, later when I got to know how he preaches, I always follow him. So I feel I'm having people who are senior to me in age, people who are senior to me in devotional service. So I'm doing this because it's a matter of service, not because I know more than anyone here. So what I'm trying to say is, for us to really understand the Supreme Lord, we must first understand ourselves. We must first understand where we came from, where we are, and then where we aspire to go. The question is, are we really qualified to even call ourselves devotees? Not all of us, probably myself. I would say I'm not qualified. And even to listen to the purification message about the Supreme Lord, am I so qualified? The answer might be saying, no, I'm not a devotee yet. Yes, probably we are trying our best to follow our acharyas, trying to follow the footsteps of great devotees. But the question is, are we actually devotees? I would say myself and maybe some few of us, we are not devotees yet. But we have this faith that the acharyas don't lie. And Srila Prabhupada, being our Jagat Guru, has, he left a lot of information for some of us. Looking at where we came from, probably Christian background, there are many things we consider today to be so divine. Those that when we're Christians, we never even appreciate them. There were many things we were doing before as Christians and we thought that was the best. I remember those days in school because I'm a Sabbatarian, an SDA member. And we hold some strong views about if you don't worship on a Sabbath day, going to heaven is a no. And many other tenets, or many other philosophies that we cling to so much that those that were not following were people who had no choice to go back home, back to God. At that time we say heaven. But gradually as we are growing, we are getting to understand that, in fact, even though those that what we're saying could be right, but was not absolute truth, that truly that was not the absolute truth, that not everybody or anyone who was not a Sabbatarian will not be able to attain salvation. But we were very aggressive and strong to that kind of tenet or that kind of philosophy. But here we are. And normally says that, what is the qualification? If not because by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and by the mercy of his disciples that came down here, His Holiness Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Maharaj and his God brothers that came over down here. We in this part of the world, West Africa, sub-region, we didn't have that much opportunity to really do or practice what we're doing today. So first thing that we have to really appreciate the fact that we have been given something that probably you're not even qualified for. To the point that some of us have even the audacity to go out there that we want to even speak about the Supreme Lord. I don't know so much about Krishna consciousness, but the little I know is the Supreme Lord is so pure to the point that some insignificant souls like ours, we are never qualified to even speak about him. In fact, this text is referring to the point or the fact that devotees wanted to hear about the narration of the unlimited and purifying message about the Supreme Lord. And he's saying that this purifying message was spoken to Maharaj Parikshit. And not only that, the message of the Supreme Lord are very dear to pure devotees because they are practicing Bhakti Yoga. So some of us, we might not be able to appreciate the intensity of a statement like this. We call ourselves devotees, which somehow is okay. But the truth of the matter, are we truly devotees? Like I said, many of you might be great devotees by myself. If I try to analyze myself and compare to the scriptures and how devotees of the Lord, how they do things, I still feel I have a lot of things to do before I can even identify myself as a devotee. So for us to be able to even speak about the Supreme Lord, we must even understand ourselves well. We should understand where we're coming from, where we are. That will help us to project out, facilitate us to understand where we want to go in life. And for us to do this, I want us to consider this point: time, place, and circumstance. You go to India, you go to Mayapur, and almost everybody understands something about Krishna consciousness. Even those who are not practicing Bhakti Yoga, they do understand. When they see you carry a deity on your head, they want to pay obeisance, they want to throw some water in front of you. They understand it's their tradition, it's their culture. So it becomes very easy for them to be able to identify or relate to things of that nature. But in this part of the world, if you carry any mukti on your head and you begin to move through town, trust me, many people might think that you are mad, or probably you are a very dangerous idol worshiper. This is how people will think. I remember some time ago, we were doing Ratha Yatra in the temple. And when we were on the street, actually, and it was a Sunday. So there was a church at the Samsam Junction. So when they saw the crowd coming, they started praying against us seriously. And how they were speaking that people that worship idols, people that wasting their time on idols. So for about, say, 10, 15 minutes that we passed around that area for some time, they were castigating and saying this entirely to us. So I was talking to myself, see how ignorant people can be. The Lord they are worshiping in the church, the Lord they are praying to in the church, the Lord they are paying their tithe and their offering to in the church is walking on the street, just 15 meters away from their church. And they are unable to even see this fact. And if they will not even appreciate it, it should just keep quiet. But they are insulting devotees who are doing this very thing that indirectly they are doing in their churches. You see, that's what ignorance can do. So what I'm trying to say here is that the information or the message about the Supreme Lord is so sublime, it is so purifying, and pure devotees always want to hear message about the Supreme Lord. But those of us who are not pure yet, for us to be able to even appreciate the level of purity that we need to attain, we must understand where we are coming from. We should be able to appreciate where we are And that will be able to help us to facilitate us into the future. But unfortunately, we don't even try to remember where we're coming from, where we are. And like I've been saying all the time, we just have to be so grateful to Sri Prabhupada. So grateful that now we feel and we know that even killing animals for food is evil. That when we see others killing animals just for food, we feel so compassionate. We feel pity for them. But we've forgotten that some time ago, we ourselves were the people that were taking the knife and then beheading the animals. We killed the animals, we prepared it, and then we eat with other friends of ours. But now we understand how evil it is, how selfish it is to be dependent on the flesh of other living beings. Some time ago, some of us were so much into intoxication to the point that a day will never go by without we getting booze. But now we've come to the realization that, wow, it is a very, very beautiful thing to abstain from alcoholism or to abstain from intoxication. Some of us were into serious gambling. Some of us were into serious fornication, illicit sex. So if we don't remember all these things, if we don't try to go back into time to see where we were, in fact, we will not be able to appreciate even where we are now. I was talking to a friend of mine who has been complaining about how life is treating him and how things are so difficult and God has never been nice to him. So I asked him, do you live alone? He said, yes, Prabhu, I live alone. I have 2 bedrooms with my wife and kid. I said, in your room, do you have television? They said, yes, I do have a big television. So do you have a car? I said, yes, I have a small car. But trust me, things are very difficult. So I asked him, when you were in the village at a very tender age, around by 9-10 years, were you living with your parents? He said, yes. How many were you? He said, we were 6 people. And how many bedrooms were your parents having? Said we had only 1 single room. So I asked him, were you all 6 with your father and mother staying in 1 single room? He said, yes, it's true. So mean that there's only 1 bed in that room and that bed will be used by your mother and your father. So it means that all the 6 will be sleeping on a mat on the floor because that time even this mattress, we were not even having this mattress. So 6 of you guys were probably sleeping on the floor or maybe some grass mat or something. Say, yeah, it's true. So I asked him, do you remember those days? At times we wake up late in the night and one of your siblings might have passed urine on the bed and maybe all your cover cloth is wet with urine. He said, that is very true. I do remember that. I remember, do you remember all of you guys probably were having only one towel for bathing that even you don't even have a bed, a bathroom in the house. It's outside. Do you have to carry water and rush there? And the same towel, all of you says will be using the same towel. He said, it's very true. So I said, see, now you have 2 bedrooms with a wife and a kid. You have a small car. And you think that God has not been good to you. You are saying this because you don't even remember where you're coming from. So I asked him, can you compare the situation you were in when you have 5 siblings with yourself, with your brother, your father in a single room, and now? So when I said it, this guy was very quiet for some time. He said, hey, it's true. Prabhu, it's very true. I said, yes. Many times, we are unable to appreciate our current situation because we are very ungrateful people. Ungrateful people don't remember where they're coming from. Ungrateful people don't remember where they come from. And trust me, message of the Supreme Lord is purifying. It is so powerful. But if we are very ungrateful, there's no way we can even appreciate the divinity of the message of the Supreme Lord. The verse is talking about how sublime, how purifying message of the Bhagavatam is. Because the Bhagavatam talks about the Supreme Lord. And pure devotees appreciate it so much because they practice Bhakti Yoga. But for us, it will be very, very difficult for us to even appreciate the message of the Supreme Lord if we are not grateful. So for us to be able to even appreciate the importance or the divinity of the message of the Bhagavatam, we must start from the A, the B, the C. Most of us are very, very, very ungrateful. Very, very, very ungrateful. And for that reason, coming to the platform whereby we will even appreciate SRIMAD Bhagavatam, which speaks about the divinity and how purifying the Supreme Lord is, it will be very, very difficult for some of us. In fact, many a times, I have come to this realization that some of us try to be very, very great and powerful devotees, which is a very good thing. But we forget about the basics. We do forget about the basics. What really makes our devotees, we forget about them. I've been telling people, you cannot be chanting all the rounds of Maha Mantra 24 hours a day. You cannot be following all those principles when the mere fact of you being able to relate to your God brothers is not there. There is no care, there is no love, there is no conscious effort to even care or love other people. But we feel that just by chanting our rounds and just by being around the temple, that is enough. No, that is not enough. In fact, it is a very great thing for one to become a very powerful chanter, a very powerful devotee, whatever status it is. But the basics should always be, should be searched for. You are living in a temple. You are living in an environment when you have devotees there. And you are not even nice to some of these devotees. You don't talk to them just because of maybe some small misunderstanding, some pettiness. But we want to become acharyas, great people, powerful devotees. But the basics, we have forgotten about these basics. How can a devotee be in the temple room and when the ghee lamp is offered to the deities, the very person who takes this blessing from the deity first sold to Srila Prabhupada and then taken around among the boys, because this person is not in good terms with you, you refuse to accept the ghee lamp from the Lord. A flower is offered to the deities. A devotee goes and picks it after it has been offered to Srila Prabhupada, and you refuse to accept this flower just because this person who is offering you this flower is somebody you are not in good terms with. But you consider yourself to be a very great devotee. Trust me, that is childishness. I will just be sincere. Because if we neglect the basics, there's no way we can become the pure devotee we have been aspiring for. Like I said before, I am not so great devotee, so I don't know much. But the little I know is that it is A, B, C before you go to F. You cannot start from F. You cannot go to G if you have not gone through A, B, C. So the A, B, C of this, our movement, should be how we relate to devotees. So we channel around, we follow the principles, but we must consciously try to develop some of these traits, some of these qualities. The qualities of caring, qualities of showing compassion, devotee care. We should be thinking of this. If not, even though the message of the Supreme Lord is so purifying, it's so sublime, that the Bhagavatam will be spoken to pure devotees because they are performing Bhakti Yoga, we cannot even appreciate it because we are neglecting the basics. I am not a very good speaker when it comes to SRIMAD Bhagavatam or any of these our powerful scriptures, but I try as much as possible to start from the basics. Start from the basics. SRIMAD Bhagavatam is for pure devotees. Some of you might be pure devotees, some of us might not be pure devotees. For us to be able to appreciate the sublime nature, the purity nature of this message, we must start from A, B, C. If we don't start from the basics, we will be pretending that we are making so much advancement, but in reality, there is no advancement. It's just superficial advancement. Many a times I feel so worried. Worried in the sense that devotees possesses the most powerful philosophy in the world. But when it comes to our relationship with other devotees, it is so bad because we are neglecting the ABC of spiritual life. We are neglecting the ABC. We don't see a devotee coming to temple for 2-3 months, and none of us even care to find out what has happened to this devotee. We all care because we can chant our rounds. We all care because our kids are coming. We all care because we go to temple with our wife, our kids. Any other person can go to hell. You don't care. For us to be able to appreciate the sublime nature, the divine nature, the purity nature of this SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, we must first try to become devotees. And we can become devotees if we neglect the basics of devotional service. The basics of devotional service. We are losing so many devotees. We are losing so many devotees, going to look for new ones. Those that have been with us for years, those that really understand. They have been vegetarians all their life. They've been following all the 4 principles. They've been chanting their rounds. A little mistake, we forget about them completely, and we want to go out there to go and look for new people. If this is the way we are doing things, then where is the devotional service we've been talking about? All that I'm saying here, the text is talking about the sublime nature of the message of the Bhagavatam. The pure devotees, love is so much, it's so dear to them because they practice bhakti yoga. It is beautiful for one to go in there and quote slokas and give pastimes and the stories and all that. But if the basics, the ABC of all this is neglected, trust me, we will be acting superficially, pretending as if we are making advancement, but our advancement will just be superficial. So what I'm saying here, that this wonderful platform that now by somebody's own advancement, we have Zoom. Devotees in the US are here, devotees in Nigeria and all part of the world, Togo, Benin, and Ghana. We are here, we are talking. Let us make good use of these things. Let us make good use of it. Because to the best of my knowledge, all this while, devotees are coming, they are going. Old ones are coming, they are going. Not that they are dead, they are not dead, they are alive. We are not seeing them anymore. But I don't want to say we are selfish, but that it seems that's the only word I can use. But we are so selfish to the point that we don't think about them, we think about ourselves. As far as I can chant my rounds, as far as my wife and my kids are devotees, as far as my husband, my kids are devotees, that is enough. Any other person can go to hell. But have you forgotten about who is a neophyte devotee? Have you forgotten about who is a Madhyama devotee and who is an Uttama devotee? So as far as we are not showing concern, as far as we don't have any compassion for other devotees, it is going to be very, very difficult for us to even appreciate the divinity or the sublime nature of the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. Because the ABC of the spiritual life is neglected. And we must go back there to appreciate the ABC. That will help us even appreciate the sublime nature of the message of Godhead, where this text is actually saying that devotees want to hear the Bhagavatam because Parashat Maharaj heard it. It helped him. Bhagavatam is so sublime, it's so divine. For us to be able to appreciate all this, we must first go to the ABC of spiritual life. And this can be done individually. Wherever we are, we must first remember where we are coming from. Then we should just suppose that to where we are today. That will help us to be able to project into the future. When we understand this, it becomes a little bit easy for us to show compassion, love, and care. Because at times I don't even get it. That how is it possible that among devotees, there are some things that even among kamis you don't see. There are things that among kamis you will not experience, but among devotees, that we're supposed to know so much. Is it that the Mahamantra we are chanting is not having effect on our lives. Because what I believe in is the Supreme Lord is so pure. And as an iron rod, which is a solid substance, when it is kept in fire for a very long time, that iron rod automatically assumes the qualities of fire to burn. So if we have been chanting this Maya mantra for a very long time, which means we are association with the most purified personality. So if we are still holding on to this old way of doing things, then there's only one reason. That is probably our Maha mantra that we chanting is not having effect on us. Because if after chanting for say 20, 30 years, some people 40 years, chanting every day, you go to Mangarati every day and chant minimum 16 rounds. After all these years, and you are so glued to these basic qualities that even Kamis are not even exhibiting, then trust me, man, I would say that probably we are chanting with offenses and our chanting is not having any effect on us. Because at times it's very sad how devotees treat devotees. At times it is very sad how we talk bad about other devotees. At times it's so sad how we will castigate devotees. We don't do this with love, but we do it with malice. After chanting for years on end, and we are unable to attain these basic qualities of humanity, then it means that our devotional service or our chanting is probably not having effect on us. But at least we have seen many devotees. And with the little we have experienced, the Maya mantra is powerful. The little we have associated with, we know this movement is great, it's purifying. But those of us who are still glued to those basic life, even though we chant the mantra, we follow the principles, it means that there's something we are not doing right. That's the main reason why we don't seem to be changing. Because for me, it is not about what the devotee says or how devotee do things. For me, I believe that any devotee who is making serious advancement must show love and concern. If not for everybody, at least for devotees. That showing love, compassion, and care is something that all of us should be able to develop. If not, we will just be selfish devotees. Selfish devotees who are just interested in the fact that they are still devotees. They still chant their rounds. They go to the temple with their husbands, with their wife, their children, and that is enough. Any other person can go to hell. If this is our mindset, I don't see how we will be able to appreciate the sublime nature of the Bhagavatam. Because this Bhagavatam message is dear to devotees who practice Bhakti Yoga. And devotees who practice Bhakti Yoga, they possess the quality of compassion, care, and love. Hare Krishna. So I would like to end here so that we can have enough time for question and answer. So Prabhu, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. If there's any question, comment, or contribution, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, His Grace, JNANA Chakshu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
That was a very powerful message, a very great reminder to going back to the basics. Because without numerals, without alphabets, we cannot have numbers, we cannot have words, we cannot have sentences. So back to the basics. Thank you for that. Dear devotees, if anyone has a question, you may do so by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute, so you'll be able to ask your question. Hare Krishna. Well, Prabhuji, I have a first question for you, Prabhuji. You were talking about SRIMAD Bhagavatam. Of course, that's what the text says. my question is, what makes the Srimad Bhagavatam so special, so unique, that attracts the devotees of the Lord? I mean, there are other scriptures that also talk about God, that talk about Krishna. But what makes the Srimad Bhagavatam so special?
Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you so much. So, but I was muted, but I was saying that how is it going to be possible for me to answer the question of my master? Huh?
Oh, stop it.
Anyway, so with a little I've heard from you and some few other devotees, there's a story that says that Vyasadeva, who is the author of the Srimad Bhagavatam, his guru is Narada Muni. So Vyasadeva, after writing everything, the Vedanta Sutra, all the information, everything about the Supreme Lord, like everything in the Vedas, Vyasadeva was still not satisfied. So he met his Guru Maharaj and complained to him that Guru Maharaj, after writing all the 4 Vedas and all the Puranas and whatever it is, I still feel unsatisfied. I feel some kind of emptiness. Is it something I've done wrong or something that I should have done that I've not done? So the Guru Maharaj, who is Narada Muni, told him that yes, all that you narrated, all that you wrote is about the 3 modes of material nature. You've spoken at length. You said so many beautiful things about creation, about everything. But all these things is within the 3 modes of material nature. That if you really want to be satisfied, you must try to get the ripening fruit of this Vedanta. There must be a description of the Supreme Lord and the pastimes of the Supreme Lord and his associates. You should go ahead and do that. So that's when Vyasadeva sat down and came out with this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is considered to be the ripening fruit of all the Vedic literatures. And the one thing is, the Srimad Bhagavatam is just about the glorification of the Supreme Lord. The Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not a mixture of anything. It is just about the glorification and the sublime nature of the Supreme Lord. And as Prabhu, you're very much aware, anything that have direct contact with the Supreme Lord becomes special. So that's why the Srimad Bhagavatam is so special. In fact, the Srimad Bhagavatam is not different from the personality of the Supreme Lord. So it is said by our scriptures, by our chariots, that if you even have the Srimad Bhagavatam with you, it is like having the Supreme Lord with you. So what else do you desire for, or whatever you do expect if you have the Supreme Lord himself with you? So yes, the Srimad Bhagavatam is directly about the sublime nature or the purity information about the Supreme Lord, not any other thing. So that's why it is very, very dear to devotees. And here he says that pure devotees, they cherish the message of the Bhagavatam because they practice Bhakti Yoga. So Prabhu, this is a little I can say. I know you just wanted to ask me. So this is a little I can say. So whatever you want to add to what I just said, Prabhu, you can add to it. I'll learn more today, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
No, Hare Krishna. I ask because it's always good to get other devotees' realization and experience also. So I really appreciate the answer you gave. But
Thank you,
if I may make a comment or a remark on some of the important points you were making when you were speaking the Bhagavatam.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, I 100%, maybe 101% agree with you that we're trying to be devotees and we should try to follow the basics. Without the basics, without the foundation, how can you build a skyscraper?
No.
But I know, I mean, of course, coming from Ghana, I know when I first joined, there was so much love amongst the devotees. And in fact, even where I am now, Gitanagri, there is so much love amongst the devotees that actually Gitanagri is is named as the hospital for the heart. No, so many devotees come here to Giranagri, and nobody tells you anything. You come there, you just feel it. But because we live in this material world, such pettiness, unfortunately, may happen. But it's also a very good reminder that devotees, we pay attention to that, and we do not let that consume us. But it is practically impossible to live in this material world and have no differences. The only problem is when we go too overboard and start unnecessarily criticizing and trying to make fault even where there is no fault, then it becomes a big problem. But I believe that we should also not be too much worried when such things happen, because we live in this material world, and whether we like it or not, some things like that will happen. I learned this from one of my philosophy instructors, that when you know you're going to take an exam, you study, you prepare for the exam. And when you prepare for the exam and the exam gets canceled, you don't lose anything. But if you do not prepare, hoping that the exam will be canceled, and it does not get canceled, then you'll be in trouble. So if we already have it at the back of our minds that because we live in this material world, even though we are all trying to be devotees, we are all on different levels. So somebody may be below me, may not understand things, and may, excuse me to say, act very awry, like crookedly. We should feel it, but I don't think we should feel it too much to the point that we lose our heads and lose our souls. But it's very important, as you were saying, that we care for each other. So thank you for stressing that point. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, I think what you're saying is that is it. I mean, we are in the material world, so whatever the situation may be, one or two things might not be okay. But when that thing becomes so prominent, that's when one has to be worried.
Exactly.
That we are doing ABC for this result, and we seem to be doing the same ABC, but the result is not coming. That means something is not right.
Yeah. Especially
if majority of the people doing this, they are not seeing the result. You know, so that's my concern, especially with the fact that there are people that have been with us, and we are not seeing them around, and not that they are dead, they are alive. And we don't seem to care, we don't seem to remember, especially in Ghana, Prabhu, you know, we are the minority when I'm talking about Christians, Muslims, and other religious groups. Yeah. We are in the minority. So we are not so many. And if we don't really consider the importance of individuals that makes us who we are, then it makes everything a little bit difficult. If I recently, there's a devotee, a godbrother of mine, that I was just, for some time now, I've not seen him. Like about 4 or 5 years, I've not seen him. So I was from the office, I was going to media. So when I crossed, I saw somebody sitting there. I said, is it this person? I drove all the way to the house, and something was just pinching me up. So if this person is your godbrother, why don't you go and find out? So Prabhu, I opened the gate and I went back. And when I went there, it was this devotee. His name is Prima Kanda. So I said, Prima Kanda. Then he turned. Said, hey, Prabhu Jan. I said, please come. So I opened the car, he sat down, and I said, okay, let's go for a ride. I said, it's been a very long time. I have not seen you. What is happening? He said, Prabhu, it's a very long story. I said, okay, don't tell me the long story. Why are you sitting here? Are you living around? Because it's very close to the temple. Prabhu, you know the Togo store. Togo store and the temple is less than 200 meters. That's where he was sitting. So I asked him, have you been coming to the temple? He said, Prabhu, it's been more than 5 years since I came to the temple. I said, anyway, I don't want to hear what caused it. But please, what do you want to do? What are you doing? Like in your life, what are you doing? He said he was riding some taxi. The taxi is spoiled. And for about 6 months, even what to eat is a problem. He's actually sitting there because he doesn't want his landlord to see him. The landlord, I mean, his advance as a spy, he needs to pay the landlord. And the landlord will be leaving around 7 p.m. So he will wait around 9:10 before he goes home and leave home very early in the morning. So we go to the house. I said, okay, you should be coming around. So I gave him some last minute. Okay, you just use this for your pocket money and come and see me later. Later on, he called me and he told me how much is owing the landlord. So I said, okay, take this money and go and pay the landlord. He did that. And I asked him, so the taxi driving, do you want to get your own taxi or something? He said he'll be very pleased. So I told him, for now, I don't have the Lakshmi to get a taxi for him. But every day in the evening, he should come around, especially when he see me around, I will see what I will do. And Prabhu, I did this for about a month. From time to time, I'll call him and I said, what is happening? I will just send him some mobile money. So after about a month, so one Sunday I was going to give class and I told him, Prabhu, I'm giving class today and I want to see you there. So I will be very happy to come. On that Sunday when I was giving class, I saw that he was sitting in the class. And I could see from his face that he was not feeling comfortable. Prabhu, living the movement for 5-6 years, you know how it is, how you're going to feel, how the body will be looking at you and all that. So I have started encouraging him. And for about 2 months now, Prabhu, he is coming to temple almost every day. Now, I'm giving this example. There are many like that out there. Prabhu Sanatana, who is our farm manager, Prabhu Surochana actually, he was listening to my programs. The day he came to see me, he mentioned devotee's name that I don't even know. He joined the movement long ago, before I even joined. He was a devotee, initiated devotee. But he went out for only Krishna knows how long. But now he's the temple president of Accra now. And many other devotees like that. So what I'm trying to say here is, we must go back to the basis. And the basis is, we should try to show care, concern. We shouldn't just be selfish. Ourselves, our family is not enough. The movement is our family. So any member of this family is our family member. So we should do everything possible. That's why I was just emphasizing on we go into the basic. When we join the movement newly, how we love ourselves. You see any person, you feel this person is a family member. But now we become very advanced devotees and we don't want to even relate to devotees. Before, we talk about Sadhu Sangha. Do we talk about Sadhu Sangha anymore? We don't. You know, so Prabhu, thank you so much for what you said, but I feel, especially in this part of the world, we must go back to the basics of devotional service. That will help us to make more devotees, encourage more devotees, and inspire more devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So, dear devotees, anyone with a question, comment? Oh, Hare Chakra Prabhu, please unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, again, thank you for your class.
Hare Chakra Prabhu, please.
Usually when somebody speaks, the speaker actually speaks from the heart. Then you can feel that whatever the person is saying is as if the person is talking to you as a person. Like it's like the whole preaching becomes like it's for you. So yeah, I greatly appreciate the way you are coming from, how we are neglecting some basic things in our devotional life and it's killing us. So, you know, as a family member, I know you are a family member, you have children, you have a wife, you have children.
Yes, Prabhu.
So are some of us. And you realize that we love our children, we love our wife, we love our children. But loving them doesn't mean that when they are going astray, we should just look on for them to go astray.
Sure.
We try to correct them, we chastise them. Sometimes we go to the extent of even like giving them some corporal punishment. But we do that out of love. We don't do that to kill them. We don't do that to send them out of the house. We do that so that they can correct their ways and still remain in the house. So, like all these things that you have personally observed, my question is how on your, on your vision, how do you think, what steps do you think we should try to adopt to help ourselves so that at least, if even we are not getting new people, at least we can maintain the little that we have?
Okay.
Because if we are not able to maintain the little, then what is the point in wasting this short time to always go out to go preach, and then we come and the ones inside? You also, in your own little way, give us, I want to hear from you in your own little way. How do you think we handle ourselves so that at least we can keep this love flowing among ourselves?
Yeah, thank you so much for Prabhu for this wonderful, do I say a question? I think it's a contribution. In fact, personally, I feel so indebted to this movement, to the point that I can sacrifice anything just to make this movement looks nice and great. Because I ask myself, I mean, you a villager, somebody far away from Bonahavu region, a small village, nobody knows you. Recently, I went to my village and some of my classmates, my colleagues, I went there, I got there on Thursday and I left there on Friday because I had to go to this Turkey and they were with me. So most when I go to Sunya, what I do is I go to the temple, I talk to the temple president's wife. She will prepare soup for about 20, 30 people. So in the evening, in my village there, we will pound fufu and I'll go and carry the soup in about 3 baby containers. So you come and see us, about 25 people will sit down and we will divide the fufu. And before that, we will sit down, we will talk 2-3 hours. They will be asking questions. Then afterward, we eat the fufu. So they were just following me up and down because at the end of the day, you give them some 100 Ghana city or some 200 Ghana city. So I was very quiet in the car. I was like, this is where I come from. And these people are my colleagues, people that I started schooling with. They were people that whatever has befallen them could have befallen me too. Maybe, I don't know what I did in my past life that I joined this movement. I remember when I joined this movement in Accra, my mom sent a message that they learned that I now going to some Indian church. So if I don't stop, when she dies, I should not attend the funeral. My mother said this. And that time, I was so much intoxicated with this movement. So I said, okay, then I'm not going to the village again. So for 3 good years, I never stepped in my village. I was in Accra here. So later, after reading the books, understanding that this is a beautiful thing that my mother will appreciate if she does really understand what I'm doing. Because here is the case, we go to Harinam, we preach to people. I said, if you can talk to people, why don't you go and preach to your family members? To the point your mother is saying that when she dies, you didn't attend a funeral. So I went to my village. And for 2 good weeks, my mother will not talk to me. So early in the morning, I wake up, take shower, and chant my rounds. My mother used to prepare banku, contain fufu like that. So she wakes up very early in the morning. So I'll be moving around, I will chant my rounds. Then in the morning, I'll prepare my soup, my food, and some of my friends will come and eat. For 2 good weeks. So one day, my mother wake up, I was just moving around 6. Then she called me, Kwabena, come. So I was surprised that now the woman is talking to me. They said, the church you are going is good for you, so you should continue. So I said, what happened? Because all this while I came, you have not spoken to me. She said, I know you before you went to Accra. And now you are here for the past 2 weeks. I've seen the changes in you. So if it is a church that caused you to change this much, then the church is good for you. So that's how now my mother has given me the sanction. My father said yes, so I was happy. So the story is, if not because of ISKCON, I would have still been in my village there, and I will not be better than my colleagues there. So if through this movement, now we've gotten this opportunity of going on the radio, on the TV, wherever I go in the world, people are already waiting for me at the airport. Whatever you say, people want to listen to it. Then I feel I am just indebted to this movement. So now, Prabhu, I'm coming to your point. What do we do to be able to maintain the love and the care? The first thing is, we must remember where we are coming from. That will help us to appreciate where we are now. Prabhu, I'm not using you as an example, but you were in Ghana before. You know the nature and how Ghana is. Especially now that the dollar is galloping like anything, living in Ghana is the most difficult thing. Because now, if you have $10,000, which in January 28th was 65,000. The same $10,000 now is 150,000 Ghana cedis. You go to the market today to buy something, that's after 2 hours, you go there, things are changed. So if you compare now to before when you were in Ghana, trust me, Prabhu, you'll be very, very, very much grateful and appreciative of whatever situation you find yourself. So all of us, we must try to do this. That's the first point. Then now, the movement that helped us to be where we are today, the members of that movement should be our responsibility. Most especially if by Krishna, the dint of the message of Krishna, we are a little bit financially potent. We should see that the members of this movement that probably might have made you who you are, you must be responsible to them. Prabhu, we pay our children's school fees because we see them as our responsibility. We buy things for our wives because we see them as our responsibility. In fact, if we begin to see the devotees of this movement as our responsibility, Prabhu, we will do so much than what we are doing now. Many a times, we are unable to relate this, that the members of this movement are our family members and they are our responsibility. So let us begin to paint this picture that the way I am responsible to my wife, my kids, my husband, and my siblings, I have to be responsible to the members of this movement. Like I'm using myself as an example. Whatever status I find myself today is because of ISKCON. It is because of the movement. So if I am be able to take care of my children and pay their school fees, I'm taking care of my wife. The members of the movement that make me who I am today should also be my responsibility. So when I see my daughter sick, I want to see her well. So I spend money and buy medication. So when I see a devotee sick, I should be able to have the same feeling. So individually, we can all have this understanding and this sentiment, but we need structures to be able to implement these feelings and this sentiment. That's why I suggested to the Ghana National Council that we must be seen as working for the devotees. So after we created all our departments, we have created another department called Devotee Happiness Committee. We didn't want to name it disciplinary committee or counseling committee, but we gave this name a tag, Devotee Happiness Committee, in the sense that the members of this committee should see that they are not there to go and discipline people or to counsel people, but they are there to see to the happiness of devotees. So when the devotee is in any difficulty, when the devotee is not coming to programs, When a devotee is not seen around, because we want to see to the happiness of that devotee, it is the duty of this committee to attend to such situations. So when those structures begin to work, Prabhu, every other thing will follow. So before, a devotee will have an issue and nobody will even pay attention. But now, the National Council is making it a priority that when a devotee is in need, even if we don't have the money, we must make this devotee feel that he's loved and cared for. So first thing, we must possess this sentiment that the movement is ours. And we must be responsible to the members of this movement the same way we are responsible to our wife, our children, and our husbands. And also, there must be some structures, lay down structure, system, to be able to facilitate this sentiment. So if all the devotees are thinking this way, we need a machinery to carry this sentiment. And that's what I'm saying in Ghana, the National Council is instituting so many committees, and we are making sure that these things are working. Okay, now we are going to Suyadro. We said, here is the case that all our temples are old. New members goes there, and they begin to mingle with the old devotees, and after 2-3 months, they lose the faith that brought them. So we will need an environment where there won't be any old devotee. Maybe only 1 or 2 that will be teachers for the devotees there. Unfortunately, an Indian family gave us a very beautiful building in Swedro, and the National Council investing so much money into it to make it a very high-class place that devotees will go there, they will stay at least a year, or even in 6 months. They will come out and they will begin to see things differently. So, Prabhu, these are some of the things we should do. And all of us, like Prabhu yourself, I know you've been doing so much. Saide Prabhu, Govinda Prabhu, all of you and your wives are doing so much. But like I'm saying, if all of us can team up, Prabhu, we can do so much. Because the love, the care, and the compassion is what is going to bring devotees. I just saw right now, Mother Gayatri just wrote in the chat room that HARE KRISHNA Prabhuji, these issues are really worrying, especially when those who donate in those days are left to their fate because they aren't capable of donating to the temple anymore. Issues like this need to be addressed. Recently, I was not in Ghana. I was in Europe. Mother Gayatri called me that, Prabhu, there's a devotee who used to sponsor the movement years back from Volta region. Now he's completely incapacitated. He was very sick and he went to the hospital. They have to do so many checks, so many scans. And these devotees don't have a kobo, a penny. So he approached her, the mother, do you know anybody you can speak to? I am dying. Devotees are not even calling me to see how I'm feeling. Mother, I don't know any family member. Because when I had money, I spent the money on the society. Now my family has neglected me. I wasn't in Ghana. So I asked Mother, how much is it going to cost for this checkup? I forgot the amount. They said 5,000 cedis or something. I've forgotten. I said, please, give me your number. Let me send your money to the person. In fact, this devotee said that he needed a loan, that if he don't do this, he might die. So he needed a loan that when it's okay, he will pay. I sent the money to Mother Gayatri. So when I returned back, this devotee said he wanted to come and see me and thank me. I said, no, what I gave to him was not a loan. The service he has rendered to this movement, we do remember. He should forgive us that all this while we are not paying attention to him, that going forward, we will come and visit him. And Mother Gayatri is here. He will bear me a witness. This devotee, I don't know him in name. I don't know him in person. But we have been paying attention to his health and doing some of these things. So individually, we are doing it small, but we should be consciously be thinking of it. See, Harinam Prabhu is here. Prabhu Harinam. This man, the very first time I saw him about 25 years, the same way this man is. He has been in this movement, sacrificed so much. He's moving around there as if he has not done anything for the movement. If you see where he's staying, the room he's staying in, I should have constructed something where Harinam Prabhu is staying. But because of him, I said, Prabhu, wait, we have to get him another house for him to go and stay there. So, Prabhu, the whole thing is that we must consciously be thinking of this. If we don't think of this consciously, we will be doing all this preaching, going out there talking to people. If we are not caring for our old members, we are not paying attention to them, at the end of the day, it will be a waste of time, because some people will see what we are doing, not what we are saying. If we are preaching the best philosophy, we must implement that in our lives. We must show love. We must show care. Some of us that have been going to the media, we tell people that devotees are very, very merciful. That's why we don't even want to even kill animals. Not because we don't want to enjoy their meat. We just don't want to put them into pain. But at times, do we care? If we care so much for animals to the point that we don't want to kill them, what of a human being that can give you good money for you to respond? Why are you not showing care and love? It means that all this sentiment of not killing animals because we love them is just some fabrication, some fallacy. The reality is that we don't even understand we are doing because we've been told to do. But if deep down our heart, we can really feel that we love animals, we care for them to the point that we don't want to see them going through difficulty. So we will not even patronize their meat for people to continue to kill them. Then we must try to dovetail the same love to human beings that can respond to our greetings. Okay? Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm sorry that I'm talking to I'm talkative. But some of these things, Prabhu, I see it as something that is deep down my heart, that we must do something about these things. Old age is catching up with so many people. In the next 10 years, some of us on this platform might not be there. So if we don't try to put things in place, our next generation will come back and insult all the senior people here. I don't think any devotee is happy to.